Hello and welcome back to LSTV. I am Lance Sisney. Thank you for coming back. I'd like to talk about some of the deceptions that we're seeing in our articles these days. And the saddest part about it is it comes from those who call themselves the fact checkers. They are declaring themselves the arbiter of what you're allowed to think is true or not, regardless of any objections that you or anybody else has to it. And they started doing this back a few years ago. And the first time it happened to me, it irritated me because they were fact checking a joke. And I didn't realize that jokes had to have actual facts associated with them. So it kind of ruined the punchline. But I posted something else the other day, a joke, mind you, and they fact checked it again. So we'll go ahead and set this over here to the side. First, you can see, I'm showing you they've fact checked it. Now let's see why. Um, Information has no basis in fact. Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's sort of like political commentary, satire, if you will. Let's see the post. Now, just mind you, this may not be for everybody, okay? But the absurdity that I'm trying to demonstrate is how, there was cocaine found in Biden's White House. There was a dead body found at the house of former President Obama. There was an altercation between Nancy Pelosi's husband and what is accused of or perceived of as being a male adult entertainer. And though it was never prosecuted as such, and it still remains a question to this day, there was an unauthorized government server found at the house of Hillary Clinton. And so the punchline, the FBI raids Donald Trump's house. As if we're not all watching in real time going, yeah, this is freaking absurd. So my post gets fact checked and it's blocked before you can click on that to see it. Okay, that's fine. They have the right to do that. But it was satire. I'm not a judge, a jury, or a lawyer, so I'm only somebody who can spout off his loose lips like the rest of us. But this is a Twitter post where this Wall Street Silver, posted a meme, and I can't show you the the Twitter uh, direct message that I got concerning this being disinformation, but apparently this Wall Street Silver is posting this as a fact that again, I was on a crash in the middle of my videos. I think I got to do something differently. I just don't think I can have this many browser windows open at a certain time or something. Or um, okay, here maybe we're gonna get to go a little bit. Okay, yes. Um, Anti-chippers are the latest group of awful people we now have to worry about, and assumedly the association being made is that the people who do not want to go along with the technological medical intervention into our biology are the problems, and that this is the global takeover, and this itself was fact checked as being satire. However, the details that I'm trying to pick out is that they're being very selective of when they're choosing to point out what is misinformation and what is satire. So this was, you know, sort of a conspiracy theory hit piece on the government trying to put a negative look on people who didn't want to have chips put in their arms, but it itself was satire. So the fact checking, I guess in this sense, would work. However, it's not consistent across the board, and those are the issues that I have with the current process of how they're fact checking everything. But that's what I'm saying here is a problem. They're saying that the free thinkers, that the people who decide to independently make up their own minds, that we're the propagandists. That somehow if we decide not to go along with the established narratives, that our own interpretations are now considered propaganda. Like Homeland Security, domestic terrorism, we're propaganda. Even though the government took away that Smith-Mundt Act or reformed it back in 2012, and they can propagandize us, but we better not try to come up with it on our own. But I'm trying to keep moving forward here because they got this new way of looking at it. They're waging wars. This is the contempt that they have for free thinkers now. And if you're not easily suggestible to the government narratives, the title of this article is "How to Wage War on Conspiracy Theories." We'll bring it out here in just a second. It's, uh, it's an article in Politico, and I guess I'm gonna try to pull it up. Maybe point out some of the pieces of the article that were hard for me to even stomach because of the audacity of the author to think so lowly of people, that how to wage war on conspiracy theories. That this first part really gets me. I'm sorry, I'm gonna try to get a little bit higher so you can see it. Maybe starts off, says changing minds. Some researchers run experiments on rats. Adam Berinsky, the director of the MIT Political Experiments Research Lab, runs them on humans who believe the rumors, or what we now call disinformation. So, I mean, it starts off in a very negative tone, and he's he's blaming the misinformation on the elites, but we're all subject to that moniker these days. If you don't go along with a government approved, there's plenty of elites who are not part of the government too. And then saying everybody's just trying to hustle you with this misinformation, but that's saying that, you know what, you don't have the right to figure it out on your own. That you have to base whether or not you can believe something over there's a official stamp of approval on it. And well, that's kind of why we're here. So we don't need some mommy and poppy to tell us what we have the right to believe or not. But so that's you know a major part of the problem is that we're not going along with everything they say now. So free thinking is off the table. But we got another one here. I try to leave these in order how I thought about them, but I'm kind of like sometimes I surprise myself with what I was thinking. Come on, yeah, come on, get over here. All right. Oh, yes. Sorry. I'm glad I get you back on track this way. So, thinking for yourself is a crime. I guess that means, um, thinking for yourself involves a bit of effort. So, strong-minded thinkers are, the potential terrorists. But what we have, it seems like, on the Democratic aisle is this guy, Brooklyn Dad. I'm really sick of his posts. But, I can't help but just read them just to get angry. But so he addresses these one group of people specifically. He says, "I'm determined to remind women and young people all the way through 2024 how Republicans want to revoke blah blah blah." Here's my answer to him. I said, let me go back up. Are you having to address women and young people specifically because you think they're weak-minded and unable to think for themselves? Or do you not want to confront people with conservative alpha male views who would shred your weak liberal progressive regurgitations? I mean, I do try to get a little snip in there every once in a while, but I mean, so he feels that he has to take it upon himself to protect those poor women and children from those dangerous alpha male conservative views that might infringe on their rights and might secure their free and cheap energy and make sure they have food on the table. Ooh, sorry, I mean, these people really get on my nerves a lot. So, and it's these bleeding heart people that say they're doing good for us and make you feel all good and warm inside that really don't care about you. And I'm going to give you another really good example right here. I mean, we have this guy, Mr. Elon Musk, okay? He's making his name all over the place these days. But we got to remember, this dude came up from this environmental crusade cause, and he made his billions off of this environmental plan to save the world, because you got to buy an electric car to save the world, or unless you're part of the problem because of your emissions. Remember, the reason why we have electric cars, slow down, excuse me. The reason why we have electric cars is because we got too much emissions. We got to save the world. But this dude can just launch rockets out to space left and right. Nothing out of it. We're not getting nothing out of it. We're not getting any metal. We're not getting any space rocks worth $1 million. We're not getting nothing out of it. But this dude's launch. So you're paying your extra gas money because gas has gone up because these electric cars, and you're paying more for your cars because of these electric cars. So this dude can launch his firecrackers in outer space because he just likes to do it. I mean, it doesn't matter if the world's going to end and we have too much emissions. No, you have to buy his electric cars because he still wants to blow up some rockets. All right? Doesn't really seem to have a whole lot to do with the environment now, does it? Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. We're having a Convict Hill oatmeal stout. Delicious. And this environmentalism stuff to push forth, the whole message and everything behind it is saying, oh, because we got to worry about the poor folks. Oh, we got to worry about the poor folks. We can't ruin the environment for the poor folks, because human rights and all that, right? Human rights, right? You know what they think about human rights these days? Let me just jump to the current way that we look at human rights. Here we go. You know what? They're kind of trying to say they really don't need us anymore. Scientists have grown a whole model of a human embryo without a sperm or egg. Is that a human? How can you define it as such if it does not possess what each of us were designed with from the very beginning? I would like to argue that. They call it a human, but it's not a human. So do they really need us? It's looking more and more like they're trying to find ways that they don't really have to deal with this too much, doesn't it? I'm good. I always thought the other window was going to crash too. And here's my response to that message. And I don't know if I'm going to let this guy's video play because he kind of long-winded too, but what I said, if human DNA is altered to the point of where it can no longer be legally defined as human DNA, are we still afforded the protection of the human rights? Kind of doesn't seem like it, does it? I mean,
he is trying to accomplish. He must have a crystal ball or something, right? Which
yeah.
We don't believe in that. That's demonic.
Some of the people he's talking
But
about.
I believe that it's interesting how they just so break down with their arrogance and entitled mindset where they say there's been this one, now there's going to be another. Let's just look at this reel really quick here. Check this out.
pandemic pandemic prediction crowd. I don't really want to play it because I don't really like to play videos of people who didn't say approve me to put their videos in there. But at the same time, I mean, it's got a point. All my links will be down in the description below. You can always go through and look at everything that I saw, where I found it from. But you know, they're almost trying to make human beings subhuman. Start introducing this gene editing technology and changing what it means to be human and who gets to be human rights at that point. And yet, we're still relying on immigration for our economic progress. Isn't that what the message is? Is that we need people to immigrate over to this great land so that, we can have workers to do the jobs that nobody else wants to do. Isn't that, the message that the Democrats want us to believe? But lately, it doesn't seem like they're really in favor of this immigration policy that they stood behind for so many years. Is it because they have this gene editing and um, you know human cloning ability, or like human reproduction ability? Because um, I thought the migrants were the backbone of the economy. Here, let's listen to the mayor of New York. Let's listen to what he says about it.
Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month.
Ha! Ha! 10,000? Welcome to Texas, buddy. I told you everything's bigger in Texas. Y'all New Yorkers think y'all are something, huh? Can't even handle 10,000 migrants a month, huh? I think y'all need to relocate that Statue of Liberty, you ask me. But, that's just my opinion. But, all this is going on here, and that's kind of what they're pushing out in front of us here. But what's going on overseas? What's going on in the background? We know what's really going on over in the background. We know there's a war over in Ukraine. Russia's over there trying to bomb some shit. Who knows why? Who knows what? They tell us one thing, and we're supposed to believe what they say, and I have a hard time with all that. But, you know, um, gosh darn it. Here we go. Countries that recognize Russia as a terrorist state. We got 7 countries, and here what I responded to them as. And this is, I thought, was being kind of snarky. I said, well, also countries in direct competition with Russian manufacturing. Maybe it's terrorists. We can't be doing business with them terrorists, so y'all gotta buy from us, not them. That's what I was kind of making a joke about. But everybody got all mad at me saying, oh no, Russia doesn't make nothing. Russia doesn't make nothing. And you know what? To that, I will have to say, Russia probably doesn't have a huge manufacturing presence, but you know what they do have a lot of? A lot of. It's oil and wheat. That's like the 2 big exports or something, vodka, but oil and wheat, And what does oil and wheat mean? Cheap energy, cheap food. So, I went into this little conversation piece with this I guess Arthur Dent, and he, started off saying that Russia don't make nothing, so they can't compete with nothing, which he did have a point, but then I started talking about that oil and wheat problem, and here's my last comment, to which he did not reply, and it says, I see you need me to explain how global economics work. Cheap energy and food are used by China and Africa to mine the resources and make the products that you get sold in every country. Do you now understand why the world needs Russia? Or do you want to pay $5,000 for your iPhone and $10 for your loaf of bread? And he didn't come back after that because, it really is. The nation states should remain sovereign. But yet, we cannot exclude countries based on their nationalism or, what our propaganda has told us to continue the wartime economy, because that will inhibit the trade that is necessary to create a peaceful global economy. But, we're still working on that, I guess. And so, but when it comes to Russia, okay, this is where I get annoyed. Because when it comes to Russia, I mean, I guess if you want to consider yourself a good American, everything comes out of Russia's propaganda. All propaganda from Russia, all things from Russian state media is all propaganda. If you believe it, you're parroting Russian propaganda. However, there's somewhere, excuse me, there's a line where some of it's not, some of it they don't want you to think it's propaganda. Like I guess there's like a good propaganda and a bad propaganda. So the and I say good propaganda is propaganda they want you to believe, not propaganda being negative that you shouldn't be listening to propaganda because propaganda is not a good thing. There's like, this is the propaganda they want you to believe, okay? I'm gonna click on this one. This is the good propaganda, okay? Um, this is a former Wagner mercenary confesses to killing women and children. Excuse me. We killed everyone regardless of gender, and there were grandmothers and grandfathers. We reached this 5-story building and we killed 40 people. People were crying and asking for help. We killed them. Russians admit to murdering civilians in Ukraine. Now, this is not propaganda. This is a Russian admitting to murdering citizens in Ukraine. But this is not propaganda. What's propaganda? Hold on. What's propaganda? Give me a second. Coming. All right. Y'all know want me to give me a faster computer. I might need to start donating to me to get a faster computer up here. Okay. This is propaganda, okay? Because, I'm replying to this dude about, some stuff that they say what Russia's doing, and I'm trying to give him what the official reporting is from the Russian state media is, and he's like, no, yo, that's Russian propaganda. And what it is it's President Putin's address to his own Russian Federation, and this is just, like I said, all this stuff is going to be in the links down below. But really, what it is, it kind of is his official breakdown, like our State of the Union, on the situation in the Donbass and some of the history of the associations between the neighboring countries and some of the reasons for the conflicts. But this is propaganda because it is official Russian state media to the Russian people who are democratically electing their country's leader who don't have term limits. They don't have term limits. We have term limits, and they don't. So because Vladimir Putin's been in power for like 20 years, they can't be being democratic. But the only reason we don't have term limits, if you watch my last video, you'll see why. So, but this is propaganda, remember. Sorry. But hold on. No, but that's bad propaganda. No, it's bad propaganda. If you read that, if you listen to that, you're parroting Russian narratives. Now, hold on. This is the other type of propaganda that we are supposed to hear, that is supposed to reinforce our American feelings of superiority, I guess, is I said I thought all the media from Russia was state lies because I'm in this argument with this dude, and here he goes. This guy, without providing a link or an article or description or anything like that, he's just gonna tell me, you are obviously ignorant of Putin's article of June 2021, where he clearly states he believes, wrongly, that Ukraine is part of Russia and he is taking it back. He also needs a land bridge to invade Moldova. He invaded with 50,000 troops in 2014. So the article that he's referencing in 2021, talking about Putin doing all this, that is not propaganda. That is the truth. That is Putin telling us exactly what he's going to do, because a good military decision is to tell your enemy exactly what you're going to do. That's exactly what I would do if I had a military. I would tell every enemy exactly where I was going to go and exactly what I was going to do. So that is not propaganda. But this is the last example I have of bad Russian propaganda, but good because they're doing a good job, convincing everybody. I don't know where this girl came from, but hold on. This Caitlin Johnson, I think Caitlin Johnson or Caitlin Johnstone. I don't think she's Russian propaganda. I'm just saying she's just an independent journalist, okay? But if this kind of information is spread, it is considered Russian propaganda, okay? So here we have an article with links and references to actual events and facts and things that you can verify that a NATO chief openly admits that Russia invaded Ukraine because of NATO expansion. Well, we're not supposed to believe that. We're supposed to believe that Russia was unprovoked and that the reason Russia invaded Ukraine because Vladimir Putin is a bloodthirsty, narcissistic, crazy lunatic, and that makes a lot of sense when you think about throwing away money and spending other people's lives and children to further your own personal interest of bloodthirsty or lunacy. I mean, I guess a lot of people think that makes more sense. I just have a hard time going along with it myself. Maybe it's just I'm a little too skeptical, but I think I, I really think what the real problem is everybody wants to take credit for what's really, really, really going on. And a lot of people don't really know what that is, I don't think. So we're just going to try to bust this out a little bit and show everybody what's really going on. Is because, so China's been working on this kind of thing since 2013 or 2015. I think it's 2013, I believe. They call it the Belt and Road Initiative. China wants to build a roadway and railway, which would consist of electrical and communications lines through Asia to Europe, through India and the Middle East, which involves a lot of countries, Russia, big time, for the delivery of the cheap fuel needed to provide such a continental transformation. Much like the Transcontinental Railroad being built in America, but this is also on a much larger scale involving much more older and established nations. So it's a big deal. And so China's been working on it for a while, but so what we got going on over here right now is I think it's called the G20. They're over there right now, Saturday. Yeah, this is like, I guess today they're over there talking about it, and they're saying that Biden is unveiling this infrastructure project to connect India, the Middle East, and Europe with railways. I'm sorry, everybody wants to take credit for this. Everybody wants to take advantage of this. Everybody wants to act like it's their deal. Russia is the country that supplies the food and the fuel to Africa and China for the development of these very, because the technology developed through that economy is going to be used for this project as well. So I think this is the Great Reset is not so much the end of humanity. It is just the certain institutions are going to undergo such a transformation that they may become unrecognizable, in fact, in the very long run. And I'm not the only one who thinks this, okay? I'm really not. There are other people out there who are just as crazy as me. Some of them have much more crazier ideas than me. I think I'm kind of in the middle. But here we go. This guy right here. I really like his video of it. I don't think I'm gonna make you watch the whole thing. That's why I'm just gonna show it a little bit to you and put it in the link so you can go check it out yourself. But you know, um, basically he's agreeing with me, not agreeing with me, but he says they want to change everything that what it means to be human. I mean, this is kind of a more of a cinematic, emotional kind of video. I'll let you watch this on your own because I don't want to get into it with you, and I'm running kind of long as it looks like anyway. So thanks for holding on with me for this long and sticking around and seeing what I got to say. And heck, I'm gonna have to have another one of these delicious, refreshing beverages here pretty soon. But I after everything we've talked about, everything that we've gone through, I want to share one last video with you. And this is something that occurred on a very significant date back in September of 2001, September 10th. 2001. And if we listen to just this excerpt from this speech, it sounds so much different today than I imagine that it sounded at the time. I imagine that if we were under the impression of the world that we are now back then, things just might be very different. And I'm going to let it catch up. But here.
It's wrong because national defense is on public trust, and trust in turn hinges on respect for the hardworking people of America and the tax dollars they earn. We need to respect them and their efforts. training and tanks, from infrastructure and intelligence, from helicopters and housing.
He just said
Outdated
something about
systems crush
needing
ideas.
to fund our military more. My video's kind of skipping around, so I want to give it a second to catch up because I was downloading and trying to play at the same time. I think that's why it's jumping around. But uh, this was Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld addressing the Pentagon about military spending and the future of the U.S. military readiness the day before 9/11.
Redundant processes prevent us from adapting to evolving threats with the speed and agility that today's world demands. Above all, the shift from bureaucracy to the battlefield.
It's going to jump around me a little bit, but like I said, hold in there with me if you can because I think this is an important video. If you want to just stop it now and catch up later, that's fine because it'll be in the links below. But I'm going to try to say a couple things while we're watching it.
Every innovation, every effort to help modernize and
The part you didn't hear just there was how he was saying it's going to be expensive to fund this transition, and we need every dollar possible.
The U.S. military. We must change for a simple reason. The world has, and we have not yet changed sufficiently. The clearest and most important transformation is from a bipolar Cold War world where threats were visible and predictable to one in which they arise from multiple sources, most of which are difficult to anticipate, and many of which are impossible even to know.
Impossible to know. We need to prepare for things that we can't even imagine. So, enlist checkbook. And I believe somewhere before this, I was going to comment on it, how he immediately went for the infrastructure that, oh, the infrastructure we have is old. We need to start rebuilding stuff right now, a day before a big old accident just happened, and we need to have a whole lot of money to rebuild stuff. But let's just gloss over that coincidence right now.
Who wear our country's uniform, active, guard, and reserve, and the close to 700,000 more who support them in civilian attire, comprise the finest military in the history of the world. They stand ready to face down any threat, anytime, anywhere. But we must do more. We must develop and build weapons to deter those new threats. We must rebuild our infrastructure, which is in a very serious state of disrepair. And we must assure that the noble cause of military service remains the high calling that will attract the very best. All this costs money. It costs more than we have. It demands agility, more than today's bureaucracy allows. And that means we must recognize another transformation, the revolution in management, technology, and business practices. Successful modern businesses are leaner and less hierarchical than ever before. They reward innovation and they share information.
We don't need as many managers. We don't need some of y'all. What was their response?
They have to be nimble in the face of rapid change or they die. Business enterprises die if they fail to adapt.
Y'all better go along with the program. Don't be a problem because businesses can die if they fail to adapt.
Is what provides the incentive to survive. But governments can't die. So we need to find other incentives for bureaucracy to adapt and improve. The technology revolution has transformed organizations across the private sector. But not ours, not fully, not yet. We are, as they say, tangled in our anchor chain. Our financial systems are decades old. According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
That's everything that they need you to hear right there. They said, oh no, that's just a conspiracy that the 9/11 didn't happen because the government couldn't find $2.3 trillion. Yes, they did. And it's not because they lost, it's because they didn't have the systems to track it. So they needed some more money to go in and rebuild those systems. So it seems like, more and more that all the emergencies that come up are contrived and fabricated to get you to go along with the program. Because if they just told you they were going to take your money and do horrible things with it, you probably wouldn't let them. But let's hope I'm wrong. Let's hope all of this is just a strange fantasy that I live in some parallel universe and that all this is just LSTV.